This is Late Night Lee Talks TV. I'm Late Night Lee and I talk reality TV dating shows such as Ready to Love, Married at First Sight, Love is Blind, The Ultimatum, and Love Island, just to name a few. So if you do enjoy that type of content, go ahead and subscribe to the channel so you never miss out on when I upload a new video. Now let's get into Ready to Love. Fort Worth, Season 9, Episode 5. A lot happened in this episode, so let's go ahead and get into it. Now, the episode starts, of course, with the men and Tommy in the men's lounge, and Tommy is telling the men that Leyland did have to leave the process, and that, of course, because Glenn did not show up to the first mixer, he had to make it right and bring in Justin, the PE teacher. So he also lets the men know that they will be getting intimate. Again, I don't want to hear this word intimate for the rest of the season on Ready to Love. I don't want to hear it anymore. But Tommy tells the men they're going to have a pajama party, getting in their PJs, and they're going to get together in a house with all of the singles. So the men, of course, are excited because anything intimate, you know, a lot of these men just really love the intimacy. So we'll see. We finally see Dominique. Where the heck has Dominique been? We see Dominique on a date with Alexis, and apparently he's been talking to Alexis, and they really enjoy each other. They're really feeling each other. They have a connection. Great. So they go to the stretch lab, and the stretch lab is pretty awesome. Getting stretched out. Of course, Alexis is easier to stretch out. You know, she's she's pretty slim, so they don't have an issue stretching her out. And of course, she's the athlete, or she's athletic, so she's easier to stretch out. Dominique has a lot of muscle mass, so it's not as easy for men like that. So, but I'm sure he may have still liked it, but the more, like, if he kept doing it, like, or doing something like yoga or Pilates, I think that he would be easier to stretch. But that stretch lab date actually was a pretty cool idea. And that's something that I would love to try. So I like watching these shows and like seeing that they go to like unique places. It's pretty cool. So next we have Laron and Vanessa. They're going to a paddleboard yoga date. Now, Laron, I'm not sure what he was wearing. He didn't look like he was really ready for that. That was extremely unique. I've never heard of it. They have a million different types of yogas. They have hot yoga. They have goat yoga. They have so much different variations of yoga. And to me, doing yoga on a lake, on a paddleboard, is a no. I'm not a big fan of yoga. I'm a Pilates girl. I'm not a yoga girl. So, I mean, I don't know. I didn't really see a lot of chemistry with Laron and Vanessa, but Laron is upset because the stereotype of him being a party boy, or that narrative is out there. But Laron, you said it. You said it and you were proud of it. You talked about, I'm a party guy. I'm in the club Wednesday through Sunday. That is 5 nights per week, sir. Do you work in these clubs? So he tries to say, well, you know, I just like to go to lounges and I go out to eat with my friends at a lounge. But 5 nights per week, like, that is a whole bill, my guy. These places are not free unless you're getting in early when they have, like, I don't think they even have, like, men come in free anymore at these clubs or lounges. You're still going to have to sit and pay for food, drink, something. Like, okay, anyway, it's not attractive. And I think what happens a lot on these dating shows, we see men come in and they say things and they feel like, you know, it's cool. And then they realize that, no, the women don't think it's cool. So like on Love Island last season, you had Marco coming in talking about he has slept with, you know, over 70 something women or something like that, like a crazy high number. And the guy was like, in his early 20s talking about that. And then another guy on Love Island, season 10, UK version, you had another guy saying he slept with over 100 women, and the women that they were connected with or coupled up with were like, ew, what? I just want to say, like, that's not attractive to a woman. That's giving, you need to go to a clinic. It's not attractive. So men will say these things that impress other men, like, oh, you slept with so much women. Women are not impressed by that. They're disgusted by that. So Laron, he thinks that, saying that he goes out 5 nights a week, that's probably impressive to men, but it's not impressive to women. Women are looking at that like, okay, he gonna be out in the clubs, he gonna be out there looking for girls, he's gonna be doing his thing. Like, nobody wants to hear that. And then he has this thing where it's like, oh, if I tell you that, maybe you'll be the one to keep me at home. Nope. We got to stop with this mentality that we could change people. Come whole and come ready. Don't feel like I got to get you to change. No. You're not going to come to me expecting that I'm going to be the magical person to make you want to stop this. So he's realizing the ramifications of his actions. This is not cool. Women don't think it's cool. Don't ever lead with that BS, because he said that on episode 1, production showed that video of him in the mirror in a bathroom with 2 women dancing in the mirror, looking absolutely dusty and ridiculous. Like, sir, this is the material that you gave us, and now you're mad that you are not very well liked because of it. Women who are truly ready for love and looking for a relationship, they're not trying to deal with that. Okay? All right. So we see Mika talking to Justin. Okay, no, I think that was at the PJ party. So they get to the pajama party. We see Alonzo in a bonnet, like doing way too much. No, none of the women were in their bonnets. Like, it was team too much. I'm not a fan of Alonzo, and I'll tell you, I'll go into more details later on that. We see a lot of the women in like their cute little lingerie, not lingerie sets, but cute sleepwear. And Mika talks to Justin. Now, Mika has no connections with the men. I'm sorry, she did have a connection with Dominique, but her and Dominique do talk, and she tells Dominique, like, I have 2 kids. It's a complete no for me. Dominique has no kids, and I believe he's the one that said he wanted 2 to 10 kids. Yeah, so Dominique realizes that him and Mika are really not going to work. He wants to still try to get to know her a little bit, but it's not going to work. It's a waste of time. Mika talks to Justin. Justin, to me, is the best looking guy there. But let's keep in mind, Mika was someone who was flued out by a rapper. Mika also mentioned that she gives like the vibe or like of a rich man's wife. Like, girl, there ain't no men on this show for you. Unless you are interested in Will, who claims to be a multimillionaire, but we don't believe that. But I think that Mika needs to, make it with Will, because he has the money that she probably wants her man to have. But Justin, as a PE teacher, absolutely not. Absolutely not. But her and Justin have a talk, and Justin says that he's cool with coming to the realization that he may never have kids. Now, I don't know. Did Justin possibly try and get a girl pregnant, get an ex pregnant, and realize that she wasn't getting pregnant? So maybe he thinks it might be him, that he might be the problem. Who knows? I'm wondering if that's what it is. But I think for him in his, was he 34, I think? I think he was 34. So for him at his age to say that he is cool with not having kids, I think, possibly within the next 10 years or so, he might change his mind, because we see this with Sofia Vergara and Joe Manganiello. And Sophia, he got with Sophia when she was well in her 40s. So if you knew that you did not want to have children, or you were possibly unsure, or could even change your mind, like, why? And according to her, they broke up because they're getting divorced, because he wants to have kids, and she does not want to be an old mother. So, yeah, I mean, that's understandable. Even though she's super fit and looks great for her age, I'm sure she still got some pain in her bones somewhere. I'm sure she might feel her age somewhere, or, she just, she's probably ready to be a grandmother since her son is grown and not a mother. So, again, when these younger guys are getting with these older women who are beautiful and successful, like, it's great, but I mean, people change their mind, and men can change their minds at any time in their life. Shout out to Robert De Niro. They can change their mind and decide they want to have kids at any time in their life, and women not so much, unless they go get their eggs frozen or something. Go get your eggs frozen, ladies, if you can. See if your insurance covers that. Side note. Okay, let's get back into the show. Yeah, I don't think Mika and Justin are a good fit. But at this point, that's the only guy that she is interested in, because she's team no kids. She's done. And there are a couple other guys who have kids already, but she doesn't really seem to be connecting with them. So yeah, I don't see this as a good match. So we sit down. We see, now production knew what they were doing. So they show us some clips of Kosheia. Kosheia is talking to Chaz. And it to me, it looks like normal conversation. It doesn't look like there was any flirting or anything heavy going on. We see Kosheia, I guess she was asking Justin to fix his plate, or asking him if he wanted her to fix his plate for him. I didn't see anything too over the top flirty. I think she was just being a people's person. At the end of the day, you got to be cool with these guys, because you don't want them to get into the lounge and bad talk you. And we'll see that later. But it seems like she was just being friendly or making conversation. We didn't see anything overtly, in my opinion. But please comment down below if you felt like you saw something inappropriate with Kosheia and the other men. But I didn't feel like I saw anything over the top or, too flirty. But we see Laron looking like he's unhappy with seeing Kosheia, Jesus, I'm so sorry, Kosheia. Seeing Kosheia talk to the other men. Now, Tommy does come into the PJ party, and he tells the group that the men are in control, and one of the women were leaving that night. So, of course, we already knew it's a back and forth type of thing. So next we have Laron and Kosheia sit down and have a talk. Now, this was interesting. So Laron pretty much tells Kosheia that, I feel like you're pulling away from me. We usually have long talks and great conversation, but you have been pulling away from me, or not answering or responding like you used to. And Kosheia says yes, but I mean, this conversation was confusing. I feel like production did us a disservice by cutting up so much of this conversation. I can tell that there was dubbing going on, where they were putting in things that he said, but you can tell he was not saying it in that moment. Shout out to, what is his name? Uche from Love is Blind Season 5, where he called production out for their dubbing when he had his little sit down with Aaliyah face to face, and they tried to make it seem like that he stopped talking to Aaliyah. Like he told her, that he doesn't, he's done with her, when they actually did end that coffee date, deciding not to be engaged, but to work on, dating and getting to know each other. And then they decided like a month later to end things. But of course, the show had decided, oh, y'all don't want to be on the show. Y'all don't want to be engaged. Okay, y'all done. And that's how the show decided to present that to us. But Uche and Aaliyah both told us, no, we actually did not end things at the coffee shop. We did date for a month. So we know that production be producing, and they do dub. They will take sounds like from when people say things, like the person could have said it the day before at 2 p.m. and they'll put it in a completely different scene on a completely different day. And you can tell when that is happening because you hear the person's voice, but you don't see them talking at all. You don't see them saying it. You see like the camera panned on something else. So it was clear on multiple parts of that conversation that Laron was dubbed, and we did not hear exactly. I mean, some of the things that he said was not said at that conversation or at that time that it was played. And we have been watching reality show for 20 years. We have been watching reality TV shows for 20 years. We've been listening to interviews. We know that production be producing. We know that a lot of things are heavily edited. And I can admit that, yes, we know some things are heavily edited, but some of these people try to make excuses for their behavior by saying, oh, it was edited. Some things are edited. Some things, they are given and appear exactly as they seem. So Laron and Kosheia, they seem to have had some type of conversation about being so into each other and just liking each other so much. And we know this is evident because in the last episode, Laron said, look, I don't care what y'all say, Kosheia ain't going nowhere. Of the episode before last, Laron was like, no, Kosheia, me and her, like, that's mine. So they're talking, and Laron is pretty much telling her, like, I don't like how you're talking to other men. You're flirting with other men. Kosheia is like, I'm trying to do the process. I'm going through the process, and you can go through the process too, but just don't be disrespectful. And he says he feels like she's being disrespectful. Now, again, comment below if you felt like Kosheia was being disrespectful and how she was interacting with the other men. I didn't see it, but I don't see everything. So let me know your thoughts on that. Let me know what you think. Are you Team Laron or are you Team Kosheia? But here is where it gets super messy. Maya, now she did this shit on purpose. She did this on purpose, and, I see other YouTubers saying the same thing. You don't see two people having a private conversation, especially a man and a woman who are, like, dating. If they're sitting down having a private conversation, you don't come over, Laron, you said I was greedy. Like, and then Kosheia, I get her vibe. So remember when the women, because Kosheia was in group 2, the women from group 2 and the women from group 1, they finally get together. They all meet each other. And Kosheia sees the women and she said, Maya sees the women and she says, oh, I don't see any competition. Remember that? Like, why didn't, me, I would have just said, these ladies are very lovely and it's nice to meet them. Like, that's it. Like, I'm not going to throw shade. I don't have to throw shade because what's understood doesn't need to be said. But she had to go ahead and say, I don't see no competition with those ladies. And I felt like we saw that she had a connection with Laron. And she knows that Laron and Kosheia have something going on. And she saw them sitting down talking. And I think she felt like, I'm going to go over there and, let her know I could take her man. And I feel like that's what she intended to do, and that's what she did. Because you don't see two people sitting down having a conversation and you come over to say absolutely nothing of substance. She came over to flirt with him Laron, you call me greedy. He gets up in the midst of his conversation. Kosheia is saying his name, like, Laron, wait, Laron. And he gets up and he goes over there and he puts his arm around her. And it's very much like his head is, in her neck, looking like he could have planted a kiss. Like, it was just very much too much. Very much team too much. And you can tell that Kosheia was not happy with it. And you can tell that he did it to piss Kosheia off. Like, oh, you want to not respond to me the way you used to? You want to be flirting with the other guys? Well, I'm going to give it to you tenfold. I'm going to do it right in front of your face. And that is what Laron did, because Laron is 31 years old. And Laron, of course, I don't feel like it's fully matured just yet. And yeah, it was done on purpose, and Kosheia completely is not feeling it. And they were even talking about, like, if you feel that strongly about me, well, then let's leave the process. No, you're not going to leave the process. So why not just continue to get to know other people? Don't be disrespectful and see where it goes. Because you can get to know other people and then realize, nah, it's still Kosheia. And vice versa. Oh, man, I cannot believe. It's immaturity. He even talks about his pride. So anyway, it was a lot going on in that scene. We saw at one point Jonathan and Rashina looking like they were walking over to the table to sit down and eat. But it's just so heavily edited and chopped. Next thing we know, we see Laron and Kosheia sitting down and talking again. And she is upset and he's dismissing her. And we see Chaz there and Vanessa's there. And Chaz goes to talk to Laron, to tell Laron, like, you're doing too much. She clearly still is into you. She clearly, like, Kosheia starts crying because Laron is just being so dismissive. And I think she's crying because she's really feeling him. And they do have a strong connection. And I know people have different opinions on that. But, Laron is dismissive. He walks away. Chaz is 47 years old. Chaz has been through it. If anybody is ready to love, I think Chaz should be, because he is the oldest one there. And he seems to be the most stable with his very nice house. And Chaz, of course, he's like a manager, so he probably has a bunch of employees. He knows how to talk to people. When you're a manager, you have to deal with employees and all their issues, and But Chaz tries to talk to him like Laron, you gotta chill out. Like, you're being way too prideful. She's in there crying, and you just don't leave her crying and upset like that. That's not a good way to leave the situation. And he was right. Some people think that he probably did it for clout, or he did it for the cameras, but I think he did it because he's a 47-year-old man, and Laron is a 31-year-old guy. Because he's not giving grown man vibes. And I think he's trying to help Laron out. Like, you have a connection with her. And he did make sense to me. Like, yeah, I think she's crying because she's really feeling him and she's really disappointed and she's really hurt. Because we know Kosheia will get up and walk away from a situation when she's upset, and she did not get up and walk away. She stayed. So anyway, that situation was a lot. Comment down below. Let me know your thoughts. Do you think Laron do you think Chaz was trying to help Laron? Or do you think Chaz was doing it for the cameras or whatever? So they take a bunch of pictures outside. And we see Maya taking pictures with William. And, he had his hand on her abdomen area, a little bit lower. I'm like, okay, getting comfortable. Then they play the game Truth or Sexy game. Chaz asks Alexis if he's the sexiest guy. Alexis says the men know it and all the women know it. I'm like, what you mean the men know it? Okay. Maya twerks on Justin. Will is told to kiss Alexis's feet. Jonathan very quickly and his thirsty ass, I would love to. Let me do it for you. Let me do it for you. Hold on, feet licker. We know, but it's not your go. Jonathan gets dared to whisper sweet nothings in his connection's ear. Jonathan, drunk off the Henny or whatever he was drinking, picks Alexis up, puts her in his lap and like cradles her. It was creepy. She clearly looked uncomfortable. It was team too much. She didn't like it. And all the other men knew, like you see Will, you see Alonzo, and it was like one other person that was trying to lift her off of him because he was clearly doing too much. And my thing is, Alexis, the men know who to play with, huh? Huh? The men know who to play with, Alexis. Oh, when it happens to you, you see how uncomfortable it is. You see how you did nothing to invite Jonathan to do all of that. You didn't do anything to make that man walk over to you and pick you up and put you on him. And you did not do anything to warrant Jonathan's behavior. But the men know who to play with. It's all fun and games until it happens to you and you realize that as a woman, you don't have to really do much at all, but just be a woman. Anyway, it's time for the elimination. It's time for the men's lounge for them to talk about who they're not feeling and who's going to get eliminated. So most of the men do seem to like Alexis and Maya, and most men have no connection with Mika, and the men don't have a connection with Kosheia. I'm sorry. So I forgot Will, who was upset because Alexis gave way too much detail on the fact that someone said that he was sleeping on the floor. He goes around to interrogate all the women, and he realizes that it was Patrice who said it. And Patrice admitted that she said it. And he tried to deny it. And she said, I specifically remember you saying that. And, she stood on business. But it's very interesting that Will was so upset about that. But in the men's lounge, he continuously threw Kosheia under the bus. Something happened with Will and Kosheia that we didn't see. I think with that first interaction where he said to Kosheia very inappropriately that, your husband had 4 kids. When she said that her ex-husband had 4 kids and he didn't tell her, Will said the D must have been that good. Or was the D that good? That inappropriate comment. I think that since then, Kosheia was probably going around and telling people like, Will is inappropriate, Will is XYZ, and Will is out for revenge. And it's funny because why not be mad at Patrice? Patrice is the one who specifically gave a story saying that you told her you were sleeping on the floor. So why not be mad at Patrice? Why are you mad at Kosheia? Also, Alonzo and his 5 head, his overly large forehead, and that hairline that's pushed back, we see that Alonzo is a dirtbag because as soon as he gets in the men's lounge, he talks about how he had issues with Kosheia. But if you remember the last episode, he tells Kosheia, I apologize. I just want everything to be good. Kosheia agrees to forgive him. When Kosheia is in the women's lounge, Kosheia did not bring up the incident with Alonzo. She did not throw Alonzo under the bus. She could have, but she did not. But as soon as Alonzo had the opportunity to throw her under the bus, despite apologizing, he did. And that's why, another reason why I don't like him. Because you went and apologized to her simply because you knew that the men were not going to be in control that week and you didn't want it to get sent home because of your inappropriateness. So you apologized and acted like you were on good terms with her. But the minute the men were back in control, you were like, I'm getting her out of here. He could have easily said, like, look, I had a little bit of an issue with Kosheia, but we actually did I apologize, and we have been on decent terms. We haven't had any issues since. He could have said that. He could have said that. He could have said, look, we had a little bit of a blow up, but we got through it. We apologize to each other, and, there isn't a love connection there, but, I think she's cool because she forgave me. She was able to move on. Like, he didn't say that. He was coming for Kosheia because he's mad at her for not being cool with him for his little choked or spanked comment. And he clearly thinks it's cool for what he said, because now he's selling t-shirts online talking about, choked or spanked selling it on a damn t-shirt, which is ridiculous. So yeah, I'm not a fan of Alonzo at all. Not a fan. Let's see what happens next. Yep. So at this point, they're trying to figure out who's going to be sent home, Mika or Kosheia. Laron doesn't seem to be, trying to save Kosheia at this moment. Laron, for whatever reason, he still, I guess, has not fully made up with Kosheia. And he doesn't seem to be trying to save her like he did at the last men's lounge. So we don't know who's going home. So it's on the cliffhanger. Now, go back and watch my video where I give my opinion, spoiler alert, on who I think is going home. Go back and watch that video, but let me know down below, because at this point, I'm not sure. I feel like it could really be anybody. We see that Mika has no connections except for Justin, but that's not going to work because Justin doesn't have the money that Mika wants in a man. He can't make her a rich wife, like she said. Also, Kosheia doesn't have, Kosheia's connection with Laron clearly is dwindling down, despite her saying during the game, the little truth or sexy game, that he was her number one connection. He still didn't believe her. I don't think any of the men in the lounge said that they had a connection with Kosheia except for him. So it's like, what is it that you're not seeing? But anyway, watch my video where I talk about a spoiler alert on who I think is going to go home and why I think they're going to go home. And also comment down below who you think is going to go home. You can just simply type Kosheia or simply type Mika. I think for production, I think for the sake of production and producing a good show, I think Mika needs to go. Mika is not really good for TV. I think that Kosheia is going to bring a little bit more heat, a little bit more fire to the show. And I think that she deserves one more chance to kind of get things right with Laron. So we'll see. Let me know your thoughts. That's all I have for this video. I do want to say, it's funny how Mika has no connection with these guys, but I think that Mika is just out of the gate telling them, like, nope, I have no kids. And a lot of men are turned off by that. I think a lot of men are attracted to, on the show, they're attracted to Alexis and Maya because they're younger. They also don't seem to have an issue with, like, if they have an issue with the guy, they're not going to say it in that moment. The same way Alexis did not tell Jonathan that she was uncomfortable with what he was doing. And she didn't tell Lamar, that she was uncomfortable with him the previous week. They wait into the confessionals to say how they feel. Maya as well. I think because they are, like, they don't say how they feel when it comes to the men right away, the men like that. As opposed to people like Mika and Kosheia, they're going to say how they feel. Even if it's something that they know, like, the men are not going to like, they're going to tell the men, how they feel up front. And, it's kind of just making me wonder, like, it seems like these guys just want women that are going to be super duper submissive. And I think that Maya and Alexis are playing the game. They're not going to say anything that could possibly make the men, you know, think that they don't like them. But they do say that shit in their damn confessionals, don't they? But again, we'll see. It's a lot going on, a lot. And sorry for the long review, but I'm sure I'm probably forgetting something. But honey, this review is long enough. So I'm going to go ahead and close it here. Comment down below who you think is going to go home. Type Kosheia or type Mika. Let us know how you feel about Alexis. And, the men know who to play with. And now she's seeing that the men are now playing with her. So let me know your thoughts. This is Ready to Love Season 9, Fort Worth, Episode 5 review. I'm Lady Ali, and I'm signing out.